Thanks for joining us for Elko Live today. This edition of our weekday radio show is our highlight, as we do at least once a month, featuring Nevada Department of Wildlife. We have conservation educator Julie Gabrielson in studio. And Julie, you have brought with you a game biologist today.
I did. I drug him in. He's going to, help us out talking about some of our cool mountain goat activity here in a little bit. So we got Josh Kirk here with us today.
Welcome, Josh.
Yeah, hey everybody. Thanks for inviting me. I'm pretty excited to come and chat about some of the cool stuff we're doing.
Awesome. So you've trained him well, or he just came well equipped. Awesome, Julie.
We had a long truck drive to Beaver, Utah and back.
Oh, great. Yeah. Well, we love it. And we are excited, Josh. We're going to dive right into some of these other items and then get right to you, because we can hardly wait to hear about what has happened with these beautiful, let's see there, mountain goats.
Mountain goats.
Yes, they look. The picture I saw was so fuzzy. I wasn't sure if it was a sheep.
They're so fluffy.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Oh, so cute.
Yeah.
Probably not supposed to say that, but they're so cute. All right. So let's talk about ice fishing, which is already right around the corner, Julie.
It is. And we've got another one of our ice fishing clinics scheduled for February 1st. These are introductory clinics. They're intended to prepare participants for ice fishing at some of our local reservoirs. This one, we usually hold it at Wild Horse. We wait for the ice to safely cover the reservoirs before we do it. And so that's why we always wait until like the beginning of February, late January to take care of that. Registration will open January 1st. You can call 775-777-2388 for more information on it. But we'll provide all of the equipment necessary for it. You just got to show up with some really nice warm clothes, some snacks and beverages, and we'll get you set up out on the ice and hopefully catching some fish.
Really nice. It's a great family tradition, ice fishing, and this is a chance to learn how to do it safely for free.
For free, yeah. And one of the goals behind that is to help people determine if it's something that they really want to start doing in the future before investing all of the money into the equipment for it. So we bring augers out there, we bring people out there to help you and walk through all of the baiting of the hooks and how to jig your jig or set your hook once something bites. And we really kind of cover it across the basis along with safety equipment as well.
All right. And among the most fun things about ice fishing is getting warm after. So
it is hot cocoa.
Yes. So a lot to look forward to. So if any of the things we're talking about today, by the way, sound like fun, maybe a future volunteer effort would be nice.
We're always looking for volunteers, not just for individual project and events, but for long-term instructor volunteers. We've got hunter education, angler education, wildlife education. We do birding. There's several different ways that you can come and volunteer for the Department of Wildlife. Again, you can call Nicole Hamlin for that at 775-777-2388 to find out more and just what kind of what the commitment is all about.
Very nice. And I think it's safe to add, you started as a volunteer for the most part, right, Julie?
I did. I was a hunter education instructor for 17 years prior to coming on full-time with the department.
Wow. That's a lot of true love and dedication, and we sure appreciate the position you're in now. So there you go, listeners. It could start out that way for you, too. So Elko Sportsman's Expo, it's right around the corner.
Yeah, and we're in our 10th annual year for it. It's March 1st and 2nd. We are accepting vendor applications now. For more information on that, you can call me at 775-777-2305. Again, March 1st and 2nd, it'll be at the Elko Conference Center, and we are looking for more vendors to come out and show us what you got. It's always a good time. We get quite a few people that come through there. We've got a great kids activity room, and the best part about it is it's all free for the public to come and enjoy.
Another wonderful free event. And Julie, what we're hearing is that this is the who's who of sports shows, because people are really enjoying the smaller version of, right? Because there's a huge one that goes on in Reno, but this
I'll go with that.
Yes, yeah. Elko's super accessible. It's family friendly. You don't pay to get in.
We are small compared to some of the other ones. There's big ones all around us. We created this one with the efforts of and thought just to bring something to Elko. We are in the heart of the hunting country for the state, and why not? Let's give back to the community and the hunting community and show what's out there for those that are a little bit interested in it but haven't done it, and just try to bring more to the table for the outdoor education part of it.
Well, thank goodness you did. And just check the stats, people, on how much people invest in outdoor recreation, visitors and residents alike in this community. It's huge, so makes total sense. So, youth pheasant hunt is also coming up about this. Oh, we did have
We
this.
actually did it already.
That's right.
Yep. And it was fantastic. We had a full roster, but a couple had to drop out just right at the very end before the event happened. It happened at the beginning of November. We had 15 youth out there participating in this. We had sponsors, great sponsors, NGM, Midas NBU, Chucker Chaser Foundation, and Elko Bighorns Unlimited. We started with some education stations from, learning about what bird it is that they're hunting, along with other bird identification, to firearm handling, to what to pack in your pack for the day to be out there, because it's always including snacks, along with safety equipment, to land use, private land use, versus public land use, and regulations as well. So they went through a full education series before they actually went out. They had a couple hours of a traditional wild bird hunt, and GM donated some property or donated the use of some of their private property that we broke into some smaller sections and assigned youth with mentors. So they were all out there with seasoned hunters and mentors helping them. And they also brought their four-legged volunteer dogs, which was a great addition to have out there for these kids to, build confidence and build on their hunter education training, and do it in a really safe environment.
And this was a way to introduce some of these young hunters, right? Some of them had not participated in the sport before?
Correct. Some of them had never hunted on any level. They hadn't. They had shot a little bit. Some had never shot before. But we started out with some trap shooting on that same night as the education station. So we made sure they were proficient with the firearms that they were handling. Some even had to borrow some of our firearms so that they could, get out there and enjoy the day. And they all did great. Every one of them went home with at least one bird.
Wow, that is great news. That's the way to do it. If you aren't fortunate to come from a family with this kind of tradition, because it is often passed down that way. Yes. Mm-hmm. So a great way to really enhance and promote the sport and to do it responsibly and safely. Julie, cool.
It was great. It was a good time, and we look forward to doing it again in the future.
And a lot of what Nevada Department of Wildlife does, obviously, is extending that outreach and education in our classrooms.
That's what we do, is outdoor education. And like you said, it does come back to the classroom, and we have lots of different options out there. And teachers, especially, if you want one of our members to come to your classroom, give Nicole St. John a phone call. Her number is 775-777-2391. She heads up the Trout in the Classroom program, Know Your Nevada, which is a fourth grade based program all about the living state symbols. We've got Nevada badges and wildlife trunks. Some of those things are programs that you can manage on your own in the classroom, just with a little bit of training and some of the materials that we provide for it. Again, Nicole St. John, 775-777-2391, and she can help dial in some of the different ideas that you might have for your classrooms.
Well, thanks again for extending this to places like our Senior Center, California Trail Interpretive Center, as well as the classrooms, the library. I know that these folks have really appreciated that. So very cool. And here we are talking about game. Everybody wants to know about how healthy our deer herds are.
And it sounds like they're doing really well. And I might even let Josh get in on this too. Our postseason deer flights, they have begun and have yielded really exciting results with the average fawn ratios. Areas 10, 13, 14, and 15, they actually completed those surveys this week. And other regional priorities are being done on subsequent weeks. The big game hunts, we've got a couple of hunts that are still open, not many. Most of the deer hunts have actually wrapped up, with the exception of late season opportunities in like Area 8. Many bull elk hunts are still in full swing, with most areas offering late rifle bull hunts as well as even later hunts for the antlerless elk. Most of the California bighorn hunts have concluded, as well as some of the desert bighorn hunts. But there is a desert bighorn hunt that just started a couple days ago. Upland game hunting, it's actually been a really great year so far for chukar and Hungarian partridge, with really exceptional bird numbers. Do you want to talk a little bit about some of the fawn ratios that we were talking about?
Yeah, no, fawn ratios have been absolutely really exciting, just because of the above average landscape conditions that we've been seeing. We had that gnarly winter of 22-23 that all of us, we endured, the feet of snow that that were on our porches and stuff, but the deer numbers got hit pretty hard too. So seeing the landscape conditions, that's kind of one of the positive things of that above average winter is there's a lot of feed on the ground for those deer. So fat, happy moms are really good, so they'll produce a lot of babies on the ground. So seeing some almost historic fawn numbers in some of our aerial surveys, so it's really exciting.
Awesome.
Oh, good. That is great to hear. We might, without jinxing anything, I guess, be headed for kind of a mild winter, too. Again, like you said, nothing like 2022 for sure.
Right, yep.
Yeah.
If we have another slightly above average mild winter, deer make it through to winter ranges, I think we're going to be looking really good.
All right. So that's also a great indicator for those, the tags that get to go out. Yes. Yes,
it does help.
Do these surveys.
It does help.
Yes. So, yes. I know it's not on the list, but was there anything about moose? Did you know if we had a good moose season? Or not?
We had 2 moose tags that were awarded this
Okay.
last year, and both of them filled their tag very early in the season. I think within about a week of each other.
Oh,
Yep.
good. Okay.
Yep, but they were both successful with nice bulls that they were able to harvest.
Hopefully their freezers were
Yep.
big enough.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That's a lot of
Yep.
moose meat. So
Yep.
very cool. All right. So did we talk about all the hunting or?
We just need to talk a little bit about the mountain lion harvest.
Oh, yeah.
Because we're getting into that. Once snow starts hitting the ground, you start seeing more mountain lions that are harvested. Remember that those harvests have to be brought back into the office and be sealed within 5 days of the harvest date. When you bring those in, they need to be unfrozen pelts with the jaws that are propped open so that they can access the teeth. So during those inspections, certain data points are taken, which includes the gender, size, DNA sample, and the removal of that premolar tooth, which helps for accurate aging.
All right. It's an important part of course, hunting and, keeping the mountain lion numbers manageable so that they're not, predators especially in urban areas, I would imagine, Julie. There are a lot of reasons to hunt mountain lion, especially close to home.
It's all about the management of the species. It really
Absolutely.
comes down to it and making
Yes.
sure that the balance is correct between everything that's involved. So, yep.
Yes. So definitely participate in that and make sure that you're doing everything to help the Nevada Department of Wildlife so they have the numbers that they need so they can issue those permits in the future.
Yep, absolutely.
So now we're at the super exciting talk about the Mountain Goat Augmentation with Josh Kirk, who is our Area 10 Game Biologist for Nevada Department of Wildlife. And again, super cool, Josh. You have the dream job, as we've decided. I mean, Julie's got a pretty hip job too. But
She does.
Yeah, you get to get outside, I bet, a bit more. So.
Oh, yeah, I'm super blessed.
Yay. So did you grow up in a hunting family or do you have hunting in your background?
I did. I think hunting is definitely in my blood. Grew up, some of my fondest memories, early memories, is running around in an ATV with my dad in the hills, and been hunting since I could ever remember. So yeah,
Nice.
Some of the best things. But yep, I'm a Nevada boy. Grew up in Fernley, Nevada, and Ferntucky, some people like to call it. But yeah, no, I'm excited to be up here in Elko, and it's probably the best unit in Nevada. But I'm a little biased, and I think some of the listeners are pretty biased as well. So
No, that is just fine. And Josh, I always like to encourage people pursuing careers, thinking about their education. Was that something that you were able to accomplish, close to home, or?
yeah, absolutely. So I was lucky enough and wanted to stay close in Nevada. I love Nevada, so I chose to go to the University of Nevada, Reno. Go Wolfpack. And
Go Pack,
yeah,
yep.
I got a bachelor's in wildlife ecology and conservation with a minor in rangeland management. And then I was lucky enough to be a seasonal worker for the department for 3 summers and then jump on full-time with a couple different full-time positions. But hopefully planting my roots here, and I'll stick around for quite a while. So
Most of our biologists do. They just love it. So thank you, Josh, for filling us in on that. Because again, anything we can do to encourage people to pursue these important positions in wildlife management, resource management, and certainly in education. So about the mountain goats, tell us about this cool activity.
oh gosh, I think I'm just now trying to settle in and think about what the last 2 weeks was like and how special the last 2 weeks were, because this is a pretty exciting and, for better lack of words, historic event that we had here in Nevada. What we were able to do 2 weeks ago, we went to Beaver, Utah, and we captured 16 mountain goats out of the Tusher Mountains, and we were able to augment our East Humboldt mountain goat population. So a little bit about that. Mountain goats they're not native to the Great Basin or Nevada, but they did exist prehistorically in the Pleistocene epoch, or like the Ice Age, if you will, before going extinct. And like other western states, Nevada introduced mountain goats into some of the subalpine, high precipitous environments that we have, like we do in the Ruby Mountains and East Humboldts. Moving a little bit forward with that, in 1964, we introduced mountain goats for the first time. We went to the North Cascade Mountains in Washington. We were able to capture 6 mountain goats. Of those, there were 2 billies and 4 nannies, and we released them in Sites Canyon in Unit 102. A couple years later, in 1967, 6 more goats were released in 102, and we captured them in the North Cascades as well. So a total of 12 mountain goats were put in the late 1960s in 102. And then a couple years later, in 1981, in the unit that we'll be talking about a little bit today, in the East Humboldts, 11 mountain goats. Of those, 6 nannies and 5 billies, they were captured from Olympic National Park and released into Lizzie's Basin, which is on the east side of the East Humboldts there in the middle part of the range. So kind of where we're at here. That was the start of the mountain goat populations. And then 28 years later, after that introduction into the East Humboldts in 1981, there was a real unfortunate disease outbreak that happened with our bighorn sheep. And I bet some of our listeners that are lifelong sheep hunters here probably know that in severe detail. There was a 90% mortality rate in both our Unit 101 and 102. Rocky Mountain bighorn sheep herds, some of the best Rocky Mountain rams that you could think of. They just took it in the shorts with this disease event, and it's really unfortunate. With that disease outbreak, though, it was sympatric with the mountain goats too, so they kind of got hit hard as well. More so in Unit 101, they went from a high population estimate of around 150 down to as low as 30 individuals. So it was a pretty significant bottlenecked effect from going from a high population number down to a low population. It reduces the genetic diversity, and just the origin of this disease, it skewed the age structure to really old nannies, which isn't very good for mountain goat populations. It could be super detrimental. But for about a decade after that disease event, mountain goats in Unit 101 really struggled with pathogens, high kid mortality, and then subsequent lower survival rates in all the other age classes. So they really, really struggled till about 2021. And we kind of assumed that the last chronic shedder of this disease died of old age, and we were really starting to see high kid recruitment into the population, which is a strong indication that the disease is gone. A cool fact about mountain goats, unlike any other North American ungulates, is nannies aren't sexually mature until about 3 or 4 years old. So if you don't have kids replacing some of the younger nanny or the older nannies, a younger age structure, and then older nannies are dying off, you're not having any population growth. And that's what we saw for about a whole decade.
But it's cool that now we have these new goats, right? And
yeah.
and you had to wait, you had to do this study, you had to assess all this before you could bring any animals back into the range.
Absolutely, yeah. We didn't want to bring clean animals into sick animals, and then that will negatively affect those ones. So we definitely did our due diligence. We knew the population was clean, and it was a perfect opportunity to work with the Utah Division of Wildlife Resources and utilize that strong relationship that we have to get some of their clean goats and hopefully give our goats a shot in the arm, a little bolster.
Oh, that is so nice. And it's something that our states, our western states, routinely work together really well, right? All of our biologists and researchers, people work. And sometimes, as you said, it can take several years to introduce or reintroduce species or to work to improve the health of a certain species.
Right, yep.
So what a cool project to be involved in again, and so early in your career too, Josh.
Yeah. Hopefully we'll never, like I said, we'll never have to do this again, because that means that something bad had happened. So hopefully in my career we'll never have to do this, but it's pretty historic, really cool.
I bet you had a huge cheerleader on your side with Caleb McAdoo, because aren't these his babies?
Oh, Mr. McAdoo had a big role in this. So,
Yes, yes, definitely. So we appreciate Caleb. He has more of a desk job these days, right, Julie?
And road. He's on the road a lot as well.
He is. He has a huge territory to cover. But my gosh, I know his mom is so proud of him, and your dad is proud of you too, from afar. And so thank you for the work that you do, Josh, on behalf of and inspired by people like Caleb. I mean, this means so much to our community to know that these goats will have a chance like that. You know, like Julie said, I could ask, and I'm always the one asking the dumb questions about species. That's why it's so great to have you here. Bighorn sheep and goats, they don't coexist, but I mean, they get along. They share some territory.
There's definitely a lot of habitat overlap, especially summer range, higher elevations. There's a lot more overlap. In the winter months, the bighorn sheep they'll winter a little bit lower in elevation. Those mountain goats, they just endure the worst of conditions, and they'll stay at the very tops, eating on lichen on rocks and enduring all the crazy winter and the snowpack. So at times of the year, there's definitely overlap. So I think that's where this disease event happened. It was St. Patrick with it. Definitely took out the bighorns a lot more, but the mountain goats got it as well. So.
And so the goats are the ones that we might be more likely to see clambering along the waterfalls, places like that?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
If you look at the steepest, cliffiest, gnarliest things that you wouldn't think a big, fluffy, white animal would be on, that's where a mountain goat's going to be. So.
Wow, so cool. And the goats and the sheep, they're sharing the terrain with the skiers, right? People out there recreating in the winter, right, Julie? I mean,
they all share it. Yep, they all do. And more than just those two. I mean, there's so many other species that are out there in the mountains that, you know, just share the space with all of us.
We're so lucky. We are really blessed to have that. And so if you're out wintering and you're in the canyon, just look up, right, Josh? You might see them.
Just look up. Yep.
Okay, super cool. And then when babies are born in the spring?
Yep.
Okay.
Early June, you could see those fluffy little kids. They're probably about the size of a basketball, and it's amazing that 2 days later after their birth, they can climb on some of the craziest stuff as well. It's pretty amazing.
Wow, that's adorable.
Super sure-footed for sure.
Yeah. I guess the only other question, because we did mention, you know, harvesting mountain lions is important to the balance of ecology. Do mountain lions prey on goats or sheep? I mean, is that something that's common? Okay, so
absolutely, yeah. Not as much as a mountain lion would predate on elk or deer or such, just because of the topography that the mountain goats are on. So I think lions are smart enough not to be chasing critters through the cliffs, because mountain goats are a lot better at navigating that stuff than a mountain lion. So
good to know.
But we definitely still see it. So.
Yeah, definitely. Okay. But good to know. One for the mountain goats. That's what being so sure-footed can help you with. Yes. Survival.
I'm always just so amazed by the cliffs that they can climb. And they've got like this 1-inch ledge that they're hanging off of. And, you know, sprawling out, you know, all four legs are in different directions, and they're really just incredible animals.
Yeah. And the fact that, like he was saying, the babies can do it within a couple days. Mm-hmm. So, wow, what a delightful story. Thank you for sharing that experience with us, Josh. And again, just so pleased that you're a part of the staff. Your enthusiasm is really appreciated, and your willingness to, you know, to share that passion with us here on the radio today. Thank you.
Yeah, of course. Thank you. And I do want to take a minute to thank all the other key factors that played a big role into this process. A lot of them I'm sure I'm going to miss in this long list, but Utah Division of Wildlife Resources, a couple of private landowners that were critical for the release sites, our local Elko Bighorns Unlimited, Nevada Bighorns Unlimited, Reno Chapter, Fallon Bighorns Unlimited, Rocky Mountain Goat Alliance, NDOW staff, previous NDOW staff, and then all the volunteers who did everything from showing up to the capture, climbing the cliffs with me this summer, and then going to the release site, and all the others that I missed, but couldn't have happened without everybody. So
what an exciting thing. Thanks, Josh, again, for recognizing all those people, too. And again, just really a shout out to all the conservation groups. Julie, I know that you have a long involvement. Mm-hmm. Conservation groups, people are mistaken if they think it's just about hunting or harvesting, because it's about preserving and conservation and planning. And they raise tons of money that is often matched by agencies. And it's the only way that you can get some of these projects done.
Absolutely. And we're actually I'm working on a feature video presentation on this this entire project that'll have a lot of historic data in it, as well as this current information with video and old photos and everything. So you're going to learn a lot more about it even than what we were able to cover here today. Interviews from current and past biologists that worked on the project, because these are historic moments, and it's really important that we capture it and we archive it and make sure that we have all of that information saved somewhere for future generations to see and learn about.
Oh, Julie, that's fantastic. When you get that documentary put together, will we be able to see it? Maybe there'll be a showing, or?
I don't know about an actual official showing. We'll definitely have it on YouTube. We'll post it to our social media accounts. It will be longer. So YouTube will definitely be the better platform to be able to watch the full duration of it. But we're going to be doing some teasers on social media, as well as some shorter videos that we can put out there because of time restrictions that we have on the social media platforms. But it will be very accessible to the public.
Great. Well, if you need an event, I know there's one more thing to do, but certainly I bet the museum would love to host something like that, and we could get some, I just want the whole world to know about this. It's so cool.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
And, going back to what we talked about earlier with volunteers and the different ways that you can volunteer with us, I would say 50% of the people that helped with this event in the last couple of weeks were volunteers.
Yep.
And we couldn't do it without that additional manpower.
Yep. So if you have a passion or enthusiasm, even if you don't have this vast experience with wildlife or hunting, this is also about people who don't hunt too. I mean, you have room for everybody who cares about the wildlife that belong to all of us in the state. So,
absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So with the time we have left, I'm just checking. Oh yeah, we've got time. I thought we might dive into just a reminder that the winter birds are starting to show up, and that there's a brief update on some fishing or fisheries, right, Julie?
We have a short one, yeah. So winter birds are starting to show up. It's gotten cold, snow is starting to fly. You're going to start seeing like the rough-legged hawks and more bald eagles than normal, especially on the roadways. So what happens is some of the smaller animals, they start, merging into the roadways, and they can create a little bit of a traffic hazard, especially when they're hit on the road. And then you've got your raptors coming in to eat them. It's that time. Exactly.
Yes.
It's that time of year for them.
Yeah.
So it's really important that you're slowing down on those roads, taking it easy, and really watching what you're dealing with out there. Winter is a great time for watching birds at feeders, but also make sure that you clean and disinfect them on a regular basis, and that helps reduce the opportunity to spread any of the diseases. We do have the Elko Christmas bird count coming up next month. It's going to happen on December 14th. You can reach out to Lois Ports with the Bristlecone Audubon if you'd like to participate in that. There's also one that will be out in Ruby Valley, out at the Ruby Lakes NWR. That one will happen on the 16th of December, and you can contact Dan Dewey out at the refuge for more details about his. But we do, the bird watching is incredible this time of year, but you've also got to watch for it on a safety aspect.
Oh, great. Thanks again for the reminder. And thanks, Lois Ports has been our local bird volunteer for decades.
She has,
Yes.
and she is such a valuable resource. Man, does she know those birds?
Yeah, she does. And she took that love. She taught school for so many years at grammar school. And I know lots of now people young adults who are teaching their own kids based on what Lois infused in them. So,
and she's one of our volunteers. She helps us frequently with bird watching events as well as wildlife education events. You'll usually see her in the kids' room at the Elko Sportsman's Expo. She's still a heavy part of the outdoor education part of things for us.
Thanks, Lois. Well, then our final note for today's program will be on fisheries.
All right. Yes, all the boat ramps have been pulled from all the waters. Wild horse, I was told yesterday, is about 60% iced up. It's still unsafe, so it's not recommended that you as anglers head out and venture onto the ice just yet. But watch our updates, because we're going to continually update not only just a general fishing report, but ice updates as well. Wilson and South Fork reservoirs are both still open water. So if you want to find a shoreline somewhere, that you can definitely get out there and do some fishing this time of year, even before the ice, solidifies, and you got to take a different method out onto your fishing area. But again, check the NDOW fishing reports for up-to-date ice conditions as well as fishing conditions. And don't forget about the Fish NV app. You can always go in there and find out more about the different waters that you're looking for. It's very interactive. You can find out more on a specific species. and find out where you're going to find it around the state, or if you're looking at a body of water, what you're going to find in that water. And there's usually a fishing report that goes along with that a little bit too.
Super cool. Download it, Fish NV. Tap into that technology because there are all kinds of great tools you can use in the field.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, and just a quick shout out. I know the sheriff will probably talk about it too on the radio, but they did a rescue of a guy that had gone out hunting. He was able to use some of his technology, but again, people just tell people where you're going, right?
Yes. Tell people where you're going and take extra safety measures. There's some really cool technology out there that you don't even have to have service in order to be able to call for a rescue. And I mean, it's done by text. I mean, it's really easy to be able to contact emergency services in the event of an emergency. And so, go ahead and use that extra funds that you might not have, and it's worth saving your life and making things a little bit easier for you out in the field, because things can get ugly pretty quickly out there. And if you're not prepared for it, some bad things can happen.
That's right. So file your trip plan, whether you're taking the family out Christmas tree or wood cutting, harvesting trees. Just do the things. Just take the extra time. Pack the food, pack the water, pack the warm clothing, a sleeping bag or two, just in case.
And don't divert from the plan without telling somebody. We've actually had some really bad outcomes from folks that have started with one plan and they told their family the plan, but then they changed it and nobody got told. And so when they went missing, they started in one place and ended up finding them in an entirely different place. So it's really important to stick to that plan unless you tell somebody. And a follow-up on that is tell somebody that knows the area. Somebody that knows that, where to find you. If you say, I'm going here, they can give the accurate directions to that area to emergency services without saying, I think it's on this mountain, because our emergency services aren't always out in the field like we are. They might not know the best way to get to that area. So tell it to somebody that knows the area as well.
Julie, thank you so much. Julie Gabrielson is our conservation educator with Nevada Department of Wildlife, and we would like to thank Josh Kirk for being here today as well. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Yep, we'll look forward to next time. He is our Area 10 game biologist and had that great update on the thrilling historic event the last 2 weeks of the Mountain Goat Augmentation for us right here in the East Humboldts. Thanks again, listeners, for joining us here on Elko Live today.